Hey guys, welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. Today I'm going to talk about one of the classic heroes, one of the heroes which has always been in favour but has really come back into favour recently since the new patch, since the new scaling changes have come into effect, and that hero is Falstad. Now for those of you who don't know, Falstad is a hybrid hero. You can build him as an auto attacker or you can build him as a caster, as a mage. And at the moment his favoured build is the basic attack build, and that's purely because the other casters in the moment like Jaina and Kel'Thas are just considerably stronger than he is. But as far as basic attacks goes, or as his basic attack build, when comparing to the likes of Valla and Raynor, in my opinion, excuse me, he is significantly stronger than both of those champions. Now, a couple of things to bear in mind when you're playing Falstad is he has a lot of flexibility within his build. There are a few abilities or a few tiers where I think this is essential, and if you don't pick this talent you're going to struggle because it's too much of a hybrid and you're not actually gaining the full effect that I'm going to be going over the basic attack build, since I think it's considerably stronger. There are a few talents which you can deviate on, and there are some which if you don't select this talent you will be more on the mage side, and as a result you won't be playing to the fullest effect. And so the last thing I want to talk about before I go into the actual build is Falstad's mount, or rather lack thereof. So Falstad doesn't have a mount. Well, he does, he's got his griffin, but it isn't a mount in the classic way you'd expect, where you press Z and then you mount up and you run at 40% increased movement speed and you can do it wherever you want. Instead, he has a passive trait called Tailwind, and what this means is that you gain 20% increased movement speed after not taking damage for 6 seconds. You can tell if you have this by this little wind trail that goes on after Falstad. If you see he's got it there, and if I were to take damage, if I got to take a cannon shot real quick, you'll see that it disappears and I will run at 20% slower. As you can see, 120 at the bottom, and now it's 100 and I don't have that trail. So that's how you know if you have that movement speed on or not. Instead of a mount, he has this ability called Flight. Now what this means is that you can fly to anywhere on the map. Now you can't really see it because I'm on the Tri-Mode Arena, but if you see this little blue circle here, that's where I can fly to. Obviously because it's in the Tri-Arena, it's just one lane and I can't really do that much to it. But one of the big things I would say when playing Falstad is use this ability. Use this ability if you take loads of poke in the early game, there's 2 of you in lane, and you want to make sure that you have full health for the laning phase and not like half health or whatever. Just hearth back and fly in. Fly into your lane. Like, there's no reason not to do it. Or if you're in, say, a map like Cursed Hollow, and you're at bottom lane and the curse spawns in top, you can, while the person you're laning against runs away to do it, you can clear a minion wave really quickly and then fly into a defensive position. That gives you advantage in the lane and means that you're arriving before a lot of other people. You need to use this ability a lot. You can even use it just to go from one place to another, or you can even use it as escape. If you're getting absolutely wrecked by someone in the lane who has no CC, someone like Illidan or something, if you find yourself completely overextended and Illidan's on you, you can just fly away. Like, he doesn't have that much burst, so if you're at like half HP and you're like, I'm not going to survive this, there's no way I win this fight, my barrel roll's on cooldown, he's got 14 seconds to kill me, just fly away. It has a cast time, but unless you get stunned, it just goes off, so you can just fly wherever you want. So it's a really, really versatile ability. You can cast it whenever you want. I'll just show you how it looks quickly. So it does have a bit of a cast time to it, but once you do, you just take off and you go that, and as you can see, you can fly great distances. You can fly from lane to lane, from base to lane, all kinds of things. And I would really say that that's one of the big things that takes a while for people to grasp. Just so everyone knows, I am using the Buccaneer Falstad skin because I think it's an awesome looking skin. So, the basic attack build. At level 1, a lot of people will say go for Seasoned Marksman, and I think that is a very good talent if you are absolutely solid and you are sure that your team's going to cover you and you're good at the game and you're sure you can do all this kind of stuff. Take Seasoned Marksman, it's great. Doesn't give you that much of a boost in the early game, but towards the late game you can get seriously high numbers from it. I would say if you are in any shape or form of doubt, don't be afraid to go with Updraft. The other two are not really as good in my opinion. You can take Bribe if you're desperately on taking mercenary camps, but I would really say that's a massive no. Just try not to if you can. So if you're in any doubt, take Barrel Roll. What this does is this removes your only escape, which is this, by 30%. So as you can see, it's this long now, and when you take Barrel Roll, it goes this long. So you'll be amazed how much this saves you, and one of the really cool things about Barrel Roll, compared to most other escape abilities, is you can use it to go through terrain. So when you have moves like Tumble, which is Valla, or Volt, Valla's escape, or Raynor's movement speed increase, you can't use it to go through anywhere. But in this, you can use it to go through terrain. As a result, you can get sort of a little boost from how far you can go. So, as you can see here, this is in the middle of this woods. But, again, I go through it, and I gain a little bit more of further movement from it.
So you can really, and if you get really good at this, it's really quite difficult to kill you, particularly in the late game phase. If you're in any form of jungle fight position, like if you're in Infernal Shrines or Cursed Hollow, or even something like a Dragonshire, you can really use the barrel roll to get out of really bad positions. So please be aware of that. Too many people just use it obviously in a retreat situation. Don't be afraid to use it to go over a wall or something and then continue to attack the person, or use it to dive away somewhere and hide behind your tank. So I really like barrel roll. I almost like it more than Seasoned Marksman, because at the skill level that most people play at, you're not in a position where you're going to get so many stacks of Seasoned Marksman that it's going to be a massive effect if the game goes to the late game. So barrel roll, just an easy choice, simple, makes life easy, you don't have to worry about it kind of thing. Level 7, or level 4 even, the talent I really like to pick is Power Throw. Now this doesn't really do that much at the moment. It does help you quite a lot. As you can see, your Q has now got some serious range on it, so you can use it to clear minions, or you can use it to finish someone off. Anyone who's played Falstad before will know that his Q, when it goes out, returns. So it means you can get the 2 hits off, because it damages both times. So it just means you can do a little further. And of course the slow is really, really nice, because it increases the slow duration by 25%. So it's not that much. It does mean you get like another half a second. But sometimes half a second is what you need to escape or whatever. So it's always really nice to do. And what it does do really well is it synergizes with the level 7 talent. I got that one right. So the level 7 talent you want to pick, and this one is kind of essential. I would say level 4 you can kind of get away with a few other ones, like Vampiric Assault maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm not really sure, but I would say Power Throw is probably going to be your best option. At level 7, if you're playing the basic attack build, you need to go Secret Weapon. So what Secret Weapon does is, if you have a look here, basic attacks are hitting for about 400, let's say 400. That's the average of what we're hitting for, damage per second. If you throw this out, you hit him with it, you see I'm hitting for considerably more. So I'm hitting for 228, and then when I throw it, I'm hitting for about 400. That's a considerable amount more damage. Like, a massive amount more damage. And it means that if you are just fighting someone and you throw the Q out and hit them, even if you don't hit them, you can get 2 or 3 basic attacks. If you've taken Power Throw, you're most likely to get 3 off. And you can get 3 basic attacks that is almost doing the damage of... If you get 3, you're doing the damage of 5. That's ridiculous for a basic attack damage hero. So you really need to take this ability. Don't be afraid to just throw your Q off somewhere random just to get the basic attacks off. Obviously it's nice to hit them because it's increased damage, but if you don't hit them, don't worry about it. The majority of the damage is going to, as you can see, it's quite generous. When I was in the attack animation, the basic attack animation, as the anchor, as the Q came back to me, and I still got the crit, so it is quite generous. So you can use it to do all kinds of things, and it just means that your damage is increased massively. And this is, and in the early game and mid game and late game, it just becomes out of control. The ultis, or the heroic abilities, whatever you want to call them, they can be quite situational. If you're in a map or on a map where you're having problems killing people, or you're not sure, or if you're just in doubt, don't be afraid to go Hintel and Blast. Now, Hintel and Blast is just a long line of an ability, and it just means that you damage everyone in the line, and it can be quite generous, and it can be useful for finishing people off, for just doing damage in a team fight. If someone has like a 5-man stun or something, like a crazy mosh pit goes, or if you can just damage everyone in it, it's good. However, if you are on a map where you're worried about positioning, if they have people like ETC or people with long channeled abilities, ETC is basically hard countered by this ability. Any champion or hero that needs to stay in one position while they're channeling a massively powerful ability, like Mosh Pit, Mighty Gust is incredible. It's also really, really good on maps where you can force people into positions where they are instantly killed. Now I'm thinking of things like Towers of Doom. If people are engaging right on your kill zone, right before your kill zone, you can fly over them or barrel roll over them and then Mighty Gust them back into the kill zone, and it will just all die. I've seen a few videos of that happening. It's quite cool. And of course you can use it if you want to start stealing bosses. The combination of using on Cursed Hollow, if you're here and the boss is being taken around this area, you can Mighty Gust them through the wall and then barrel roll through the wall to quickly steal the boss. Incredible stuff when done properly, but it does take a lot of skill, and there is sometimes quite a bit of luck involved as well. So if you are in doubt, go for Hintel and Blast, but don't be afraid to use Mighty Gust. It doesn't have a 40-second cooldown, so you can use it a surprisingly high amount. At level 13, it's a lot of people have a lot of basically people have different opinions on this tier. I like Giant Killer, particularly if they have 1 or 2 tanks, or anyone who's quite difficult to kill. People like Asmodan, if they have like a Stitches and an Asmodan and an Arthas or a Sonya or something. Giant Killer is just incredible, because it just means that they just get absolutely melted. But you can do things like Crippling Hammer, and I've even seen people go with Thunder Strikes. I've never really seen people go with Static Shield. But the thing about Thunder Strikes is you use Lightning Rod, which is your W for those of you who don't know, quite a lot. So if you're basically basic attacking someone, you're going to be in ability where you go auto, Q, W, and then you're just going to be hitting them with all kinds of abilities and doing big damage to them. So if you can get Thunder Strikes, which means that your W is hitting harder every time, it's going to be nice. But I do think the Giant Killer is probably just going to be slightly easier. Obviously Thunder Strikes is good, and Crippling Hammer is just really good, because it synergizes well with Power Throw, because it means you're slowing them by 50% for longer. And yeah, it's just a cool talent. But Giant Killer is going to be probably your go-to one here. If they have no tanks, if they're like all assassins, go for Crippling Hammer. And if they're all assassins and you're getting, because the problem with Lightning Rod, sorry, I completely interrupted myself and stopped my train of thought. The problem with Lightning Rod is any good player will see that you have Lightning Rod on them, and then will just move out of the way of it. Will dedicate everything they have to making sure that they don't get hit by Lightning Rod, which is cool. And it works really well, but if they move out of the way of it, they're just going to be able to move out of the way of it. And 15% increased damage on, like, so if you land 2 hits, which is reasonable, you'll get 15% increased damage on 1 hit. If you land Crippling Hammer, you might get another hit off. So instead of getting 100% damage and then 115% damage, you might get, that's a total of 215% damage, you'll get 300% damage. I know it doesn't work like that particularly, but that's the logic I like to try and use. So I think Crippling Hammer is probably better most of the time. But if you're getting every hit of Lightning Rod off every time, just don't be afraid to use it. But for the most part, go for Giant Killer. And this means that you can take out tanks quite easily, which is really nice. A lot of basic attackers have this problem up until level 13, because all of them get Giant Killer at level 13 of dealing with tanks. Falstad has this as well. Tanks sit at the front and it just takes you so long to kill them. Giant Killer means it no longer takes long to kill them at all, and they are just as big of a target as everyone else. Level 16, Hammer Time's really nice. Overdrive is currently bugged, and of course you're not a caster, so I'm not entirely sure how it's bugged. I've heard different reports of everyone, but you're not a caster, so you don't want to take this ability, because it's ability power and mana costs. All of your damage is coming off of your basic attacks, so you don't want to take this ability. Afterburner, kind of cool. If you're really struggling getting away, you can always use it. I remember when this was like the go-to talent. This was before Hammer Time was even in the game. This was the go-to talent. This was incredible. It meant that no one could chase you down or anything. Area Gust is obviously kind of nice, because it means you just move faster, but you don't really need to at this point. The mobility, Falstad's ability isn't really a problem because of flight. What might be a problem is his ability to stay on targets, and that's where Hammer Time comes in. So for those of you who don't know how Hammer Time works, you Q, you hit someone. Oh, you basic attack them. Actually, I'll do it on a minion. So you Q, you hit someone. I'll show you. You Q, you hit someone, and then they're stunned. Only for that first hit. Anything after that first hit, they are no longer stunned. So it works on multiple targets. So if you launch a Q and you hit 3 people and you basic attack all 3 of them individually, they'll all get stunned. But you're probably going to want to use just to make sure you get a kill. Or you so if you're sieging a base or something and someone overextends, you hit them with the Q, which of course slows them, and then you hit them with a basic attack, which of course stuns them, and things just go wrong for them. And it's just a really nice ability to have. Raynor has something similar, Valla doesn't, but an ability to have a stun, even if only a short duration, on any basic attack champion is really, really nice. Obviously this means that your Q is going to need to hit people more often, but as I say, if you miss the stun, it's only 0.75 seconds. Not a huge deal, but it might cost you a kill if you consistently miss it. And at level 20, there's a lot of different things here. So all of these talents are usable. Now, I know quite often when you see basic attack heroes, you'll be like, Nexus Frenzy. How is this not Nexus Frenzy? It's always Nexus Frenzy, right? Yeah, but sometimes it's not. So Call of the Wild Hammer is really nice, 25% more damage, and double range is cool. To be honest, if you're hitting people further away than this, if I can get to the end of it, if you're trying to hit people that are this far away and you can't, the chances are you're not going to be able to see people that are approximately this far away. So there isn't really that much good in taking that talent because you're just shooting in the dark most of the time. You might be able to get a snipe off or something, but I don't think that's going to be the best time. But the 25% increased damage is going to be nice, and a little bit more range, like even if it's not necessarily double, if you just use maybe 10 or 20% of that range, is always nice to have. So it is possible. Nexus Frenzy, of course, is really good. The problem with Nexus Frenzy, I find, is one of the cool things about Falstad is Falstad's abilities all work from a very specific range. So if I'm here, I can basic attack, and right on the edge of the basic attack, if I'm basic attack someone, I can put W on them. Like, that's how it works. So if I'm not basic attacking someone, then or if I'm basic attacking someone from further away, I'm not going to be able to use W on them. Now, while W isn't a massive amount of damage, it's basically your survival ability when you're in a one-on-one situation. If you're up against a Valla or a Raynor or something, you're going to be able to deal more damage than they are because you have W. Now, a good Raynor will obviously wait and use his Q to get him off you once you cast W, but then you can just escape. That's an ability for an ability. Your basic attack champions, that's fine. Your Falstad, you can hearth and fly back. He has Adrenaline Rush that costs him an ability. His is a 45-second cooldown. Yours is 45 seconds. So you see what I mean? Like, you can trade really quite effectively with that kind of stuff. So it's going to be your real go-to ability to making sure that you survive in 1v1s, and it is going to deal a decent amount of damage at any point throughout the game. So you're going to want to use it, and the fact that you have increased range by 20% means that you have to get closer than them to use it, and so you kind of don't use it. So basically it's a free 20% increased attack speed because I wouldn't use the range that much, which is and instead of 20% attack speed I can get 25% increased damage, and that, I mean, it's good. And of course, if you are just melting people and you don't need to use W ever, it's going to be amazing. But I find that's not the case most of the time. So just bear that in mind when you're on the level 20 talents. Now, Epic Mount is really cool. Reduces the flight to 20 seconds. That knocks 25 seconds off of it. That's really, really nice. And it means that you're only casting it by 0.5 seconds as opposed to, I think, 1.5. So when you cast it, you're just instantly off and all over the place. Really nice if you're using it to escape a lot. And increases the flight speed by 50%. So you're going to get where you're going faster. That's not a big deal. The fact that you'll get where you're going 50% faster is nice, but I've never been in the air thinking, oh, I wish Falstad would fly faster. Like, you get there so stupidly quick anyway. I imagine that it might be nice, but the cool thing about it is you're just going to be able to use flight all the time. 20 seconds is ridiculous. You'll be able to use it all over the place. Now, the problem with this talent is by the time you get to level 20, the game is probably going to be close to being won. And if it's not, it's probably going to be decided by the next team fight. And the next team fight it'll be useful to have you there, but you should be there anyway. You shouldn't need to fly in, you know? You should be with your team at level 20. So it's not going to be amazing. But if you're on a map like, and it hasn't been decided, and you're on a map like Dragonshire, or a map like Towers, well, not Towers are doing, because Towers didn't get the tunnel. But if you're on a map like Cursed Hollow or something, where the bosses are coming up, all kinds of Garden of Terror when you fly into the bosses, all kinds of things where it might be really, really useful to have if the game is undecided, so don't shy away from it. I would say probably your go-to one is going to be Call of the Wildhammer or Nexus Frenzy, depending on how you play and how well you can use it. For the demonstration, I'm going to take Nexus Frenzy here, and I'll show you the problems that I have with it. So, I'm also stacking now at this range, and I can't cast W. I have to move up. Now, I don't have to move up that far, and of course, I can retreat back to the original, to the base duration of it, and still get all the damage off. And of course, the increased attack speed means I can just crit like so much. But it's not a huge like deal, you know? It's not like, oh, I'm going to win because I have that 20% increased damage or that 20% increased attack speed. I wouldn't say so. But it is going to be really, really nice, particularly if they have a lot of tanks on their team. So now I'm going to go over a couple of the things you can do as Falstad in the early, mid, and late game. So, as far as Falstad goes, compared to the other basic attackers, no one really has a combo. A lot of people say that Valla has the the auto WQ combo, which should kill most people in the early game, which it will, but or it might be 3 autos. I can't remember. Anyway, I haven't played a Valla in a while. But what Falstad has is this kind of thing where he can basically anyone in the 1v1 situation, he should be able to kill aside from maybe like Zagara or someone who's just absolutely crazy dominant in the early game. And the way you do this is you put yourself in a good position and you start autoing them. You throw a Q out of them and then you hit them with W. Now, of course, I'm level 20, so this isn't going to be amazing, but what you'll find is that the people you're dueling will just, their health will drop so quickly, and if your health drops somewhat quicker, you can just barrel roll out. So don't be afraid to get yourself in a nice little defensive position and then just barrel roll through something just so you get away. And then if worse comes to worse, you can just hearth back and fly in because you've traded their health. And if you're trading a healing fountain for a hearth, that's fine. And of course, the only problem there is you lose experience because, of course, you're out of your base. But you don't lose experience for that long at all. In fact, if you time it really, really well, you can lose no experience at all by the time that your second minion wave you gain all the experience for killing their minions, and then by the time their minion wave meets in the middle, you've already hearthed and flown back. So if you're really good, you can time it really well, but you might lose a couple of minions worth of experience. In the mid game, do something similar, but at this point, you want to start hitting with your Qs and start just hitting with basic attacks. and using W just to keep on damaging whoever you're damaging. Like, just have it on someone, and it will do really well. Because you're a basic attacker, you don't want to be diving on the back line. You want to be making sure that you're attacking anyone you can within range, even if that person is a warrior. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to just go after the tanks, especially after level 13 with Giant Killer. Warriors aren't going to last too long in front of you, so don't be afraid to do that kind of stuff, and just continue that kind of vein into the late game. Stay behind your tanks, stay near your supports, damage people as much as you can. Don't overextend. Don't dive the back line. Use fly whenever you can in a good position. Make sure you're always with the team as much as possible. Don't be afraid to barrel all over terrain. Use R to either get loads of damage off or to finish someone off. This has been how to play Falstad. Hopefully, if Overdrive gets fixed and a few other talents get worked around, his caster form will come back in, at which point, if his basic attack is still as strong, obviously Lunara is coming out soon, so we don't know how strong she's going to be. She looks like she's going to be a basic attacker, so she might knock Falstad off of the throne of basic attackers. But if his caster comes back in, and he has the basic attack that's still as strong, he's going to be one of the best picks in the game. The ability to be either a caster or a basic attacker is going to be so unbelievably strong. Anyway, this has been how to play Falstad. I have Mr. G, and I'll see you next time.